gentlemen.
Good morning.
Happy Tuesday. I have to be careful. I want to say happy Monday. But it's good to start on a Tuesday. So I have a rare privilege today. I'm introducing to you guys one of my life heroes and also one of my former students. And so his name is Joseph Munyambanza. He was in the very first biology class that I ever taught. He's also responsible for me meeting my wife. I'm a big fan of Joseph. But Joseph's story is actually more interesting than just introducing me to my wife. So Joseph was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Do you know where that is? Okay, it's in Africa. Okay, so it's right in the center of Africa. When he was a child, he had to flee that country because of war. And so he grew up in Uganda in the Changwali refugee settlement. And he and his friends in Changwali decided, they saw there were a bunch of issues there with people having access to education or health care. And so he and his friends said, we're going to try to resolve this, or try to make this better. And so they started a youth organization called Cobrawas to try to help have students get access to education, help prevent violence against women, help create jobs for entrepreneurs. And through that, he eventually came to my school and now is an advocate for education around the world. I think he regularly talks to Gordon Brown about education in Africa. Do you guys know who Gordon Brown is? Yeah, who can tell me who Gordon Brown is? You know, Janet? Nobody? So Gordon Brown used to be the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. So it's kind of their President Obama. So let's welcome up Joseph. Yeah, thanks for coming, man. So here's how we're going to work it today. I'm going to ask Joseph a few questions about his life and his work, and give him a chance to share with you guys. And then I'll open it up to you guys if any of you have questions you'd like to ask him. So Joseph, the first question I'd like to ask you is, how did you get started? What motivated you to try to start making a change in your community?
Thank you. First of all, I'm really happy to see you guys. I've heard some amazing things about this school, and I'm in college also. I'm in my senior, my last semester at university, but I have heard about this school from Mr. Skara.
He's studying biochemistry.
So back to the question, like Mr. Skara said, when I was young, I went to a refugee camp, and this is not the life I had expected for my life. And I was 6 years old at that time, and so all my primary school, I did it from the refugee camp, and sometimes I could sit in a classroom with 150 children. So it was really very, very hard. But I was lucky to continue school until I finished primary school. I think primary school, I don't know how you call it here, but it's elementary school. So by the time I went to high school, I had seen that things are really hard for all the children in the refugee camp. But at the same time, if these kids have opportunities, if they are able to continue, they could make it in life. Because myself, I finished from the refugee camp primary school, and when I went to high school, I felt like things are getting better. I'm getting an education. And so by the time I was 14 years old, together with the other friends of mine, we wanted to come back to the refugee camp to help other children, because the refugee camp has so many problems, and it's so hard for a young person to think that this can be better. And it's also hard to know what can make it better. And for us, we thought education was the only way, because there are many problems in such communities, and you can't address them all at the same time. So for us, we thought if we get an education, we're going to be the best we can. We are going to go beyond the refugee camp, and that's what I used, I think, to do that. And so for now, where we started, first of all, when I was in senior 2, which would be grade 9 here, grade 8, something like that, I started a tutoring program. So I could get young people who are in elementary, in the 6th and 5th year of their class, and then I help them to do their assignments, mostly during the holidays and the weekends, and then I could work together, motivate them, and sometimes we sit together and talk about the issues which we are facing. And because some of the young people are orphans, so we take care of each other, and then we also talk about motivate one another. How can we do this and this to be successful. So with that tutoring program, some kids passed very well from primary school, and then they also managed to go to secondary school. And then after that, what we did, we opened up like a secondary school hostel program, whereby students who are now finishing from these tutoring programs, they are coming to these hostels. Hostels are dormitories. Back home we have boarding schools. So like these students could stay in these homes, and then they attend secondary school in town. But also in the refugee camp, we had to open up a primary school now for the very younger children, mostly who do not have parents. So we had to open up a primary school. We had to work with the community to hire teachers. And so since 2005, we now have supported about 500 young people in the high school. Our primary school is now big. It's very well established now. We have about 13 full-time teachers, the head teachers, and then some kids actually live on campus. So it has come that far. It's doing well. We have about 12 students at universities, and the 2 of them at the universities here in the USA, and then about 5 of them are in American University, International University in Nairobi, Kenya. So slowly we've been like doing that.
So like in like your recent years, as you've tried to really build out this organization, what have your biggest challenges been?
First of all, I do all these things because I started with my friends. I was 14 years old, so I was still like in high school. But since then, I've continued with my school, like with my education, because it's also important for me to continue to learn, to grow, and meet other people who can mentor me and help me to grow, and also learn how we're doing and advise us how to do this. But most of the time, I think the biggest challenge I face is that I have to make many big decisions to help these other friends of mine, the young people, but at the same time, I have to make sure like I'm doing well academically. And sometimes it requires so much discipline, and in the last few years, we failed to sleep and manage schoolwork. But actually, like especially last semester, I did very, very well. But I've come so far to learn how to manage time, how to manage your schoolwork, how to manage this organization, because I'm always having like Skype calls, phone calls, to make sure that things are working on. But then at the same time, I have to travel. Sometimes we raise money from home, but also sometimes I travel around the countries to meet some people, some partners who can support us and help our programs in Uganda. So on my side, most of the time, the big challenge I have is to balance the work and my education.
Joseph, what is your kind of vision for the future of your work? Where do you hope to take it?
I think for the case of Koburas, the main thing we want to do is to help every child get the quality education, because sometimes the life you are living in can really affect the way you grow, because the surrounding and the failure you're seeing around your environment, it can be your community, it can be in your family. Sometimes it can have a big, big impact in your life, because most of the time when you grow up in a hard life, you always think like, I'm meant to fail, I'm meant to fail. But I believe differently, like every young person has the potential to achieve the best thing you've ever thought of. And this is what I bring to the communities in the refugee camp. Because one thing which always makes me happy is to see to go back home, to see someone who thought he or she is just an orphan, and then at first didn't want to work hard, didn't believe in himself, but then by interacting, by providing education and mentorship, we found in 2-3 years this person has started becoming very big. And for example, there's one of the boys who is attending university in Nairobi. This boy was left alone when he was still young, and then the first life of his was miserable. But now he actually has been working at Koburas Primary School, helping to motivate other young people. So it just for people to help them to think differently, to have a positive thinking, because when you believe in something, you can do it. And so in the next 3-4 years, the plan is to help about 50 young people to attend university. And we're trying to make our primary school to expand it to 500 children, and then I'll host a program to support about 150 young people. And they're trying to increase the number of girls who attend secondary school, because in our community sometimes girls have more challenges. Sometimes it has to do with the culture, but also sometimes the support systems are not really strong enough to help them. So we're trying to see how we can expand these programs and make them stronger and more helpful for the students and people to believe different, not just to see them as refugees, but I always say like be as global citizens, because like, I believe, when you believe in something, we can go anywhere.
So I have one more question and I'll open it up. What advice or encouragement would you have for our students here as they try to make change in their own community?
I don't know, like you guys, like your background, where you come from, but I've lived, the most miserable life, but also I've seen like the best things in life, because like Mrs. Kara says, I've also met Obama, by the way. I've met Clinton and the wife and the daughter. I've had meeting with the General Secretary. So like from the refugee camp to meeting these people, it's a privilege, but also it doesn't make me different from other young people. And so whether you come from like, a low family, poor family, or family where your parents are not educated, something like that, it's just you. Like, see yourself as something big. See yourself with like someone who has unlimited potential. And the teachers will be there to help you, your friends will be there to help you. But I think like you lay a strong foundation. These people like build on what you have. Because sometimes you can, in Africa we have like a saying that you can take a cow to the water, but you cannot force it to drink, something like that. So like you take it, the teachers they help us, they bring us like to the water, the knowledge, things like that. But then we are the ones to decide how much we take in. But sometimes some work, it is difficult and sometimes it's stressful. But when you have a vision and have a reason as to why you are doing something, when you put that energy, and sometimes means doing it once, twice, 3 times, or even more, but actually when you're committed and you believe in yourself, you can do it. And so don't fear to fail, but it will be disastrous if you fail and you give up. Fail and come again and again and again and again.
Thanks so much, Joseph. Any questions from students? Yeah, Michaela, thanks.
When you faced challenges, who was your support system, or who did you go to when, I guess, you felt like unmotivated or things got really difficult?
Thank you so much. I think at first when I was in the refugee camp, sometimes I could go to school without food, and it's very hard to focus when the teacher is teaching actually when you're hungry. But always, I think one of the biggest also motivation for me was my mom. We are born like in 8 children in my family, but my mom, like, she's so wonderful, but she's not educated actually. But she always had like, that mother care to help us and also to encourage us that, you can make it. And she knows she has not given us enough food, but she always was there to smile with us and help us, prepare us for the next day to go to school like that. So I feel like the initial foundation was built by my mom. She was really supportive. But I also, as I grew up, as I started going to study away from home, I also tried to build more relationship with friends. But also I was always selective on what type of friends I choose, because some people feel like behave as if they don't have vision in life or they don't care about life. And sometimes if you're not careful, these people can really mislead you. But so I was selective on the type of friends I choose, but also on activities I get involved in, because I know I have limited time for me to work hard. And so like I always built mentorship, and sometimes mentorship from my age mates, and then like as you grow up, my teachers, things like that. I'm always connected to my teachers. He's one of them. And when he came to visit me in Uganda, he met some other teachers, because I keep in touch with all of them, because I really they mean a lot to me, and I always rely on them sometimes